It's 2026. Tensions in the Middle East reach a breaking point. After weeks of naval clashes, sanctions, and covert strikes, Iran announces a bold move. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. No oil ships, no tankers, no foreign warships, nothing gets through. In one stroke, the world's most critical maritime choke point is shut down. What if Iran blocks the Strait of Hormuz? Roughly 20% of all global oil passes through this narrow waterway. At its tightest point, it's just 33 kilometers wide, easy to monitor, easy to mine, easy to defend with missiles. If this artery of the global economy is sealed, the shockwaves would reach every continent, every market, every gas station. If you're interested in high-stakes geopolitical scenarios that could ignite global crises, hit that like button and subscribe for more world-altering what-ifs. In this 4-part series, we'll explore how Iran could shut the strait, how the world would respond, the military showdown that could follow, and the consequences for global energy and stability. Closing the Strait of Hormuz might sound like a bluff, but Iran has spent decades preparing for this exact scenario. And if Tehran feels cornered by sanctions, by military threats, or by regime survival, it might just pull the trigger. Here's how it could happen. Step 1. Sea mines and swarm tactics. Iran's navy, small but highly asymmetric, could deploy hundreds of naval mines in key transit lanes. These mines are cheap, hard to detect, and capable of disabling or sinking massive oil tankers. At the same time, fast attack boats swarm commercial vessels armed with missiles, machine guns, and suicide drones. Step 2. Anti-ship missiles from the shore. Iran's coastline overlooks nearly the entire strait. From hidden silos, camouflaged trucks, and hardened bunkers, it can fire dozens of anti-ship missiles in seconds. These include the Noor, Khalij Fars, and possibly hypersonic variants, all designed to strike moving targets with deadly accuracy. Step 3. Air defense and drones. Iran deploys its most advanced drones for surveillance and kamikaze attacks. Armed UAVs patrol the skies while radar jammers and mobile launchers threaten any U.S. or allied aircraft in the area. It's not about controlling the skies, it's about denying them to anyone else. Step 4. The media blitz. As soon as the blockade begins, Iran floods global media with footage of illegal intrusions, foreign aggression, and defensive operations. The goal is to muddy the narrative, confuse international opinion, and delay any unified response. And it works, at least at first. Insurance premiums for tankers skyrocket. Global oil prices double in days. Energy markets go into panic. Countries from Japan to India scramble to secure emergency supplies. The world realizes even a partial blockade can be devastating. But the question remains, how would the world respond? As the Strait of Hormuz closes, the global response is swift and fierce. The world's most powerful navies converge on the Persian Gulf. Diplomats scramble. Oil markets convulse. Everyone knows this isn't just a regional dispute, it's a global emergency. The United States leads the response within 48 hours. A U.S. carrier strike group enters the Gulf. F-35s and stealth drones begin round-the-clock surveillance. Submarines silently move into attack positions. Washington demands the immediate reopening of the strait and warns of consequences if Iran doesn't comply. Regional allies mobilize. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Bahrain activate their air forces. Qatar hosts emergency meetings with CENTCOM. Israel raises its alert levels and prepares missile defense systems. Even nations far from the Gulf like the UK, France, and Japan send naval assets to secure maritime lanes. Airstrikes and limited naval engagements. When Iranian fast boats harass a U.S. destroyer and damage a British tanker, the West retaliates. Airstrikes hit missile launchers and naval facilities along Iran's southern coast. Iranian radar sites are jammed, drones are downed. But this is where it gets dangerous. Iran doesn't back down. It fires ballistic missiles at Gulf oil infrastructure. Refineries in Saudi Arabia burn. Pipelines are targeted in the UAE. Iran's regional proxies like the Houthis in Yemen and militias in Iraq join the fight, hitting American and allied bases. The Gulf becomes a war zone. Global diplomacy fails to catch up. The UN calls for restraint, but can't enforce it. China and Russia urge calm but blame the US for escalating tensions. Meanwhile, developing countries suffer from skyrocketing fuel prices and food shortages. Protests erupt in major cities. The world's red line. Everyone knows that a prolonged blockade is unsustainable. But taking out Iran as full military capability would require a war the West doesn't want. The tension reaches a boiling point. The crisis in the Strait of Hormuz ends, but the world it leaves behind is permanently changed. Scenario 1. Iran backs down under pressure. After weeks of escalating conflict, Iran agrees to international mediation. Under immense military and economic pressure, it reopens the strait in exchange for partial sanctions relief and a ceasefire. A fragile peace returns, but the damage is done. Oil prices remain high for months. Global energy reserves are drained. And Iran, though weakened, proves it can bring the world to its knees with one decisive move. Scenario 2. Full-scale regional war. If diplomacy fails and the blockade drags on, a wider war breaks out. US and allied forces conduct a full naval and air campaign to destroy Iran's capabilities. In response, Iran activates all its proxies, from Hezbollah in Lebanon to militias in Iraq and Syria. The Middle East becomes a battleground once again. Civilian casualties soar. Global trade through the region grinds to a halt. A humanitarian disaster unfolds alongside a military one. Scenario 3. A shift in the global energy map. Regardless of how the conflict ends, the message is clear. The Strait of Hormuz is a strategic liability. Countries begin diversifying their energy routes and sources. Europe accelerates its transition to renewables and LNG terminals. China invests in pipelines across Central Asia and Russia. The US doubles down on domestic production and exports. Oil shipping routes shift south through Africa and the Indian Ocean. Energy independence becomes a national security priority worldwide. Oil is no longer just a commodity, it's a weapon. The long-term consequences naval strategy is rewritten. Maritime choke points are now seen as global vulnerabilities. Drone warfare becomes central to sea control. And nations start treating energy infrastructure the way they treat nuclear weapons, as strategic deterrents. The Strait of Hormuz may reopen, but trust doesn't. The world moves forward knowing that one narrow waterway, in one volatile region, can still shake the entire planet. If you found this scenario insightful, like this video and subscribe for more global what-ifs. Because the future depends on how we prepare for the possible, not just the probable.